Hello and welcome to Literature Unlocked. I am Komal Kumari and here we decode literature from all the genres, and today we analyze Death Be Not Proud by John Donne, critical analysis for UGC NET, BA and MA English. Death Be Not Proud is also known as Holy Sonnet 10. It is not just a religious poem, but it is also philosophical, theological and metaphysical argument against death. Donne transforms death from a feared tyrant into a powerless figure. The poem reflects Renaissance Christian humanism, metaphysical wit, and Donne's personal spiritual conflict. The form and the structure of the poem is as follows. It is written in a Petrarchan style sonnet which is modified by Donne. It is a 14-line sonnet and it is written as dramatic monologue in argumentative structure. The poem uses apostrophe, paradox, metaphysical conceit, and logical reasoning. This poem is an example of classic Donne, emotions combined with intellect. The central argument of the poem is as follows. The poem opens in defiance. Death be not proud. Thou, some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. The apostrophe immediately comes here by personifying death, reducing its terror, and challenging traditional fear, the fear of death. The key thesis is that death only appears powerful, it is not truly so. This reflects Christian theology that death kills the body and the soul remains immortal. Thus, Donne redefines death as a transition and not an end. So here we see apostrophe and Christian theology coming in the beginning lines of the poem. Then we see death as a slave. It is one of the most radical ideas presented by Donne. He says, thou art slave to fate, chance, kings and desperate men. Here Donne completely reverses the hierarchy. He says, death is not the master, it is controlled by fate, accidents, political power, human actions, diseases and poison. Thus, death has no autonomy, it is not independent. The metaphysical strategy used by Donne is that he uses logic against death. He argues, if people enjoy rest and sleep and that is only a form of sleep, then death must also be pleasurable. This is a classic metaphysical conceit. He compares peace and sleep with death. He converts the fear into comfort using intellectual reasoning. Next, we have theological dimensions of the poem. This poem is deeply rooted in Christian belief. For Donne, earthly death is equal to temporary sleep, and resurrection is equal to eternal awakening. He is comparing death with temporary sleep and says that resurrection is eternal awakening of the soul, and hence bringing the final paradox of the poem, death thou shalt die. This echoes St. Paul's biblical idea, O death, where is thy sting? Here, death is defeated by eternal life. It says that death thinks that he can destroy people, but since the body is only destroyed and the soul remains alive, hence death dies itself. The language and style of the poem from net perspective is that it is a blend of reason and faith. It has an argumentative tone, an apostrophe to death, and a paradox is presented where death itself dies. The conceit here is when death is compared to sleep. Some of the themes for your exam point of view is powerlessness of death, immortality of the soul, Christian resurrection, human courage, and triumph of faith. This poem perfectly represents Donne's metaphysical style where intellect defeats fear. At last, for conclusion, the poem is important for metaphysical poetry questions, religious poetry, use of conceit, Renaissance worldview, showing that death is temporary and life is eternal. It shows Donne as both a poet, a theologian, and a philosopher. If you like the video, do like, share, and subscribe for more such videos. Stay tuned. Till then, goodbye.